Okay, we want to welcome you to the August 26, 2025 Planning Board meeting. And it's noted that Trina Loomis is absent. And we'll go with the first order of business. And that is consider the approval of the July 22nd, 2025 regular meeting minutes.
Motion to approve the July 22nd regular meeting minutes.
Second.
Motion. Chris, second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Those opposed? Unanimous.
One abstention due to absence.
It's noted. Okay, public comments. I see we have no speakers that have signed up. So we'll move on into the action agenda and consider the recommendation of petition text amendment 2509, request by Burkert USA.
I just have one thing.
Oh,
I mean, they are a client of ours. I don't think it has anything to do with tonight, but I do cater for them often, so just wanted to throw that out there. It's okay.
okay. Does any of the board members have an issue to recuse? Jody? Okay, thank you for sharing. Okay, Nathan, it's yours.
Good evening, everyone. Before I begin, I'll enter my staff report into the record. Let's see.
You want me to check it out
It's
for
not
you,
just
Nathan? I can
you,
help you.
Scott.
I can help you.
I'm hitting the button. Let me just see if this works.
I'll make it 3 months in a row.
No.
Clock's on now.
Let's see this. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like nothing.
I can just kind of give you. Yeah. This is the second text amendment. Yeah, you're good. Yeah. Not prepared to speak on this one. Okay, thank you. So quick little background. Article 9.54 solar energy facilities is split into two different categories. The first is major solar energy facilities, where the primary purpose is producing electrical energy for beneficiaries that are not located on the site. An SUP is required for these. And then we have the minor solar energy facilities that are located on the beneficiary's premises and are intended to primarily offset part or all of the beneficiary's electricity. Minor rooftop and minor freestanding solar facilities are allowed by right on all properties except for in the front yard and on the front facade. Those are prohibited. And this text amendment will focus on minor solar energy facilities. So this was submitted by Burkert USA Corporation for potential future solar installation at their Huntersville manufacturing facility. They were looking to add some additional solar panels in locations that the ordinance currently doesn't allow. And they have two goals with this text amendment. It's to allow freestanding solar energy facilities up to 14 feet tall above surface parking lots and pedestrian walkways, and to allow freestanding solar energy facilities to be placed in the front yard of non-commercial, or I'm sorry, it's supposed to be commercial properties. The first amendment that they are proposing is to the general requirements of Article 9.54. Currently, the language states that all minor freestanding solar facilities shall be a max of 5 feet in height. The applicant is proposing a provision that would allow a minor freestanding solar facility to be up to 14 feet tall, as long as it is on a commercial property, it is above a surface parking lot or a pedestrian pathway, and it is behind an 80-foot buffer. The second amendment is to the commercial section of Article 9.54. This language currently states that that the front yard placement of a minor freestanding solar facility is prohibited when its placement would cause the solar facility to be visible by a person on the ground. Currently, it's essentially making it impossible to place a solar panel in the front yard. The applicant is proposing to add the language "from the public street" in order to allow a freestanding minor solar facility in the front yard as long as it is screened. The text amendment is consistent with the 2040 plan policy EOS 9.1, which states to promote the use of energy-efficient building design and neighborhood design. This text amendment would increase the opportunities for commercial properties to install environmentally friendly solar panels on their properties. And with that, staff recommends approval of the proposed text amendment as it is compliant with the 2040 plan and is supported by policy EOS 9.1. And if you have any questions, I can answer those for you. The applicants are also here if you have any questions for them.
Okay, we'll start with questions for staff.
There was some discussion about going less than 80 feet as long as it was blocked. Did that go anywhere, or is that something that we?
That wasn't brought up any further after the public hearing. We would be open to looking at it if that's something you guys wanted to discuss.
No, I mean, I think if the applicant only needs the 80-foot buffer, we leave it there for now, and then if somebody else wanted to do it closer than 80, that would be a
separate
special, yes, or a special use, right? Yeah,
They would have to come back in for another text amendment.
okay.
Yeah.
Did the town or applicant consult with an expert as far as the height limitation of 14 feet? I'm just thinking that they're probably installed at an angle. I'm guessing 14 is at the top of that. What I don't want to do is pass 14 feet and realize it's
Sure.
something 16 feet.
Staff hasn't looked into it in terms from an engineering standpoint. If you guys want to try to answer that one. Yeah, if you just want to come up.
If you want to step to the podium, and if you could give your name and address, please, that'd be great.
My name's Trevor Davis. I'm with E-Cubed. I'm the consultant that was hired by Burkert. We work with manufacturers and with the designers to come up with that height.
Gotcha. I just want to make sure that wasn't some arbitrary number that we're going to come.
No, we actually went a couple feet above what we recommended to build, so, yep. Is that it?
Any other questions?
Back to the 80 feet, so we put this in place, could the Board of Commissioners then reduce the 80 feet to,
If it was part of a rezoning,
yeah, okay. All right,
or if they came in through another text amendment, yeah.
Scott?
I have one more for staff. Is there any, from the staff perspective, is there any concern or should there be a limitation on the size of a ground-mounted solar installation? Where I'm going with this is, I doubt this ever happens, but if somebody had a 5,000 square foot building and they wanted to put up, 100,000 square feet of solar panels, I don't think that's what we're intended by this text amendment.
Are you like referring to a specific location or just in general?
Just in general, usually is it a percentage maybe of the building? If it's a 200,000 square foot building, then, should it not exceed 200,000 square feet?
We haven't taken that into consideration, but I would add that already at a commercial property, if the required buffers along the road as well as along any of the adjacent properties, for this particular use above a parking lot, the parking screening requirements would still apply. So there would still be trees on the perimeter of the parking lot.
And actually, I think I was thinking more not like if it's a solar installation that's in addition to a covered parking. I get the parking's there, but let's say, okay, we're going to cover this.
So they have a big field and
That's really what I'm just trying to think, you've got a big parking lot and you got that covered, that's fine. And then they go, well, we also have 4 acres. We'd like to cover 4 acres
Sure.
in panels.
I mean, if they are looking to just produce energy from that for their own site, then that would be a minor solar facility and we wouldn't have much of an issue. But if they're trying to also offset electricity for other properties and earn money off of that, then at that point, it's going to be a major solar facility and they have to come in for an SUP. And that would be a use in itself, so they likely wouldn't be able to do it on their own property.
Let's see.
So I see where Scott was headed with that. I'm wondering if there's like a major parking lot, you know, if you had a Walmart that was pretty well screened, but, you know, thousands of square foot of parking lot, would we allow that?
With this text amendment, no, it would be only allowed if it's behind an 80-foot buffer.
Okay, yeah, that's true. As long as we,
And if it's in the front yard at all, it would have to be completely screened visually.
Yep.
So they may have to do additional screening depending on the height.
I'm just doing a little bit of advanced thinking, but if new technology is available which allows them to do storage on the same site, is this covering that, or is that, where would that be covered?
What do you mean by storage?
New technologies for storage of the energy that you're capturing?
like a
Or on-site
facility.
later?
Yeah, this wouldn't affect their ability to use a battery for their electrical needs. This is purely for the solar panel. That's what the ordinance.
Kind of the opposite way, if they're using it to capture the energy to retain it for later purposes, is that covered, or is it?
It's not covered. I know homeowners for single-family homes right now could use a battery to capture their energy as well. That's not anything that our ordinance currently
They have that,
restricts.
they have that as a right then?
Correct, yep.
Okay, that's fine.
So just a quick question here from me. So I see that it limits us to pedestrian walkways and parking. So that's excluding things like driveways or other impervious surfaces and things of that nature.
Only a surface parking lot and only above pedestrian walkway.
And just so I'm clear, just panels on top of buildings is already covered elsewhere.
That's already allowed by right.
Okay, just double checking, thanks.
Any other questions? Okay, someone have a motion prepared that they'd like to present?
I've got one, nobody else does.
Okay,
In considering the proposed amendment TA 25-09, the planning board recommends approval based on the amendment being consistent with the EOS-9.1 of the Huntersville 2040 plan. It is reasonable and in the public interest to amend the zoning ordinance because it allows for the expanded opportunities for non-residential properties to install environmentally friendly solar panels. This allows future businesses to use creative solutions to fit more solar panels on their properties. The planning board believes its adequate language has been provided to ensure that these solar energy facilities are not a nuisance to nearby properties.
Second.
motion and a second discussion. Chris, you want to start? Anything? Okay.
I just thought it was interesting when you read the Burkert application, it says that they are committed to achieving carbon neutrality goals for 2028. And to help achieve their business goals, they are incorporating solar that would lead them to installing charging stations at a later date. So I think this could very possibly be coming up with other businesses that are not only here, but are coming to the Huntersville area. It's a good thing.
Any other discussion? Comments? Okay, well, we've got a motion and a second. We'll go ahead and vote. All those in favor of the motion? Those opposed? So it's unanimous. Thank you. You are welcome to leave if you want, or you're welcome to stay.
Get excited.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is consider a recommendation on petition TA 2504, request by the Huntersville Planning Department to amend Article 7.4 of the Huntersville zoning ordinance. And today we have a guest, Mr. James.
Filling in for Brad Priest. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you and good evening. Before I get started, I wanted to give a shout out to a young aspiring planner out there that is a tree advocate as well. Eden Spate. Hi on YouTube. You made it. All right, TA 2504, tree mitigation. Again, I'm filling in for Brad Priest. This text amendment has a goal of keeping more mature trees. The proposed amendment would. A recap on what was discussed previously, there's a 30% maximum mitigation for residential and 50% maximum mitigation for commercial. This amendment would also raise heritage tree mitigation to 200% of the caliper instead of 100. It also clarifies tree preservation information within the ordinance. That way we can clarify when we're reviewing plans and it's consistent throughout. There was a new addition to this, which would allow small lot development, developments under 2 acres, to have some flexibility and allow development to encroach in the drip line, which was an issue before. Staff went over that and thought about it and looked into those. We have a couple of examples too to show, but we realized that if you have a good tree preservation plan from an arborist, signed from an arborist, that would attest and sign that going inside the drip line would save the tree, then we are in favor of that, and that would allow some additional flexibility. And then there's also the conditional district rezoning route if you cannot meet these maximum mitigation efforts. So again, board discussed on 722 the concern about increased conditional district rezonings and then that small lot development. So we did a little research and found 5 fairly recent projects that were small lots. As you can see on the screen, there's a 0.39, a 0.37, 1.72, one that is slightly over 2 acres, 2.73, and 1.91. 4 of those did not, they met their tree safe, so there was no mitigation required. And the one that would not, would now meet it with the arborist preservation plan that we allow with our flexibility. So, we kind of dug into these plans and we found that with the added flexibility efforts that we spoke about at the last planning board, that it would not necessarily add more conditional district rezonings with the additional flexibility. And here's another snapshot example of the new language drafted by staff. Small lot development tree save would still be applicable, but you would have that added flexibility, whereas on the screen, as you see, a 32-inch beech tree would encroach into their building envelope that they have proposed, but with a tree safe plan from a certified arborist, you could actually pull that drip line in with some different measures. There's a lot of different measures that arborists can recommend, like root barriers and things like that to protect the tree. So we would allow some flexibility if there was an arborist that could attest to those efforts. So staff does not recommend small lot development be exempted overall. We would just be in favor of that flexibility item that we just spoke about, or I just spoke about. Small lot tree save is feasible as examples provided. Exempting them could have a cumulative mature tree loss effect. So if we did not use these examples, or if we did not go forward with this, and we allowed small lots to be exempted, areas like downtown that traditionally have less than 2-acre sites, you would have potentially no mature trees in an area like downtown. So recommendations, staff recommends approval with the new updates. And the town board meeting scheduled is September 16th, 2025. Leave that open for any questions you may have.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll start with questions for staff. Got a couple. Okay, on the small lot, first of all, I appreciate y'all checking on the small lot. That was great addition. Do you think that could apply to the other, like larger, like say a 5-acre site where you want to weave a parking lot in around a tree? You want to save it, with an arborist report?
Well, I mean, we looked at some medium-sized sites
Yeah.
as well. Those weren't brought up in that last meeting. The 2 acres was kind of the smaller. But I've reviewed a ton of plans, and you'll have some that are very close to meeting it. You have a tree or two off, but we didn't have that additional flexibility in the ordinance. So part of it is, you may be able to save even more with that additional arborist allowance, because I've had plans where, you're 2 feet within the drip line with the added 5 feet, and I have no ability to say, well, you can squeeze it in here, move the concrete over or the building envelope over. But with an arborist attesting to that, I don't see, based on my experience reviewing, any issues with it.
So are you saying like if it were a larger site that y'all would possibly consider, like say they're out and they, there's only a few trees, or this only applies to the 2-acre and under, the arborist letter for encroaching into the drip line for say like a parking lot or something?
Oh, I see what you mean. Is the arborist flexibility allowed in other types of development under the 2 acres? Not as written.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you guys can propose it.
I mean, I think it'd be good on a less dense site, so to speak, where there's not a lot of trees and you need to save that.
Trying to think of any potential issues with allowing that. I don't think with a large site, as long as an arborist, if you're just 2 trees or a tree within meeting tree save, and there's a couple of areas that it would be, you could potentially save them without doing damage to the tree. I don't think that's.
And what happens, I don't know if it's a legal question or what, but what happens if, let's say you have that small site, you have 1 tree, you can't really do anything with it. You have to get it rezoned because you're going to remove it. What happens if it's denied? Like, is that a
legal issue?
That is a possibility that could occur.
Yeah, I know it's hypothetical.
Like I said, we looked at a number of sites. We found it to be pretty fair and reasonable. You saw the chart.
Yeah.
We looked back historically as well. We do know of 2 or 3 sites in town that are going to have to ask for a rezoning to build something on it. They're just how they are. But again, if we see like a pattern or an uptick in rezonings just because of this, then maybe we look at revising this ordinance. It's not a problem. I mean, again, this is a living document.
Sure.
We've done it for other cases as well. But if you're in there rezoning for something else, and this is just, we'll just keep track of this. I don't think we'll see too many that's just solely because of trees. It might be trees in addition to other modifications.
Right.
But if we see like 3 or 4, then maybe we'll take a look at maybe changing the breadth of this a little bit. But if you guys do want to make it as part of your recommendation, going up to 5 acres, we're comfortable with that as well.
So that would be, we could make that as part of the recommendation.
Yeah, and then the board would make the decision.
Another thing, and this may be too much for now, we talked about this, like, you take, 36-inch tree is lost, but over here, in addition to the canopy you saved 5 12-inch trees, which doesn't count. It doesn't count for mitigation.
Sure.
But you've exceeded it. Is
That would
more than a recommendation? That's more of a
Yeah, we think
next
there would be a
go-around?
separate text amendment, and that would go into the mitigation portion of that, and we'd be open to having that.
'Cause I think it'd be a fair mitigation if you exceed the canopy and you have additional trees on site, that perhaps they should count even though they're under the specimen tree size.
Yeah, that's something we've thought about, and we believe that would add quite a bit more text to the ordinance, because you'd have to kind of quantify and calculate it, and the way we would review it would be different. So it wouldn't, like a motion wouldn't probably capture it all.
Right. I didn't think so. And sorry for the hypotheticals here. What about if you increased, like, how you increased the heritage tree to 200%? What if we increased and it didn't have to get rezoned, but you increased the penalty for going over that percentage? Like,
Sure, and that was part of a previous discussion we had with some folks. We would probably want to take that mitigation technique back to the Environmental and Sustainability Committee and get their input, go back out, do the research to see what our peers are doing, to see if anybody's doing something similar. And then again, if we're pioneers, we're pioneers.
'Cause I think stiff penalty would be, I think a great way to solve the goal being to keep more mature trees. And
We don't look at it as a penalty per se, it's more of a
Incentive.
a fun incentive to replace trees in other areas, so.
right.
I would be.
Because we know oftentimes when you get to that, 36-inch oak, it's either it's peak life or it's on its downfall. So you definitely see the merit. Do we save 3 or 4 18-inch oaks who are going on their way up? Absolutely. Hard to quantify sometimes these things, but that's definitely something we're going to spend some time on it and probably do that with an additional text amendment.
And the last bizarre question is, they don't have like I'm gonna call it a land conservancy.
Your time's up.
At least I got the question in.
You got
No,
the
like how you can mitigate watersheds with reserving.
We do not have any land banking.
I don't know if that's
This time.
probably a bad
That's
idea.
something that we could look at doing in the future with a different type of text amendment as well.
Okay. Okay. Somebody else, if y'all have some questions. Thanks, Brian.
Sure, I have a comment. I love trees, by the way, but I kind of made this comment before. I feel like this may be a solution looking for a problem. And I do think, and I appreciate you guys doing the research, especially on the 2 acres, that I still have concern that this is going to end up catching a lot of sites that will end up having to come in for a conditional rezoning that otherwise would not because of this new ordinance. So I'm probably not going to support it. It's not because, again, I want to save trees. I just don't know if it's, even with, and Jay is so much more educated on this than I am, but I just think there's a lot more to it. So it's just a comment, not a question.
We have some additional questions, concerns for staff? Thoughts?
Yeah, flip back to the comparison chart you did for the 6 properties or so. And when we looked at this last time, it was like with current tree ordinances and with proposed, and there was an additional savings, but we don't see that here, right? So we don't really know what the effect of doing it without the small lot revision and width. Except for maybe on Holbrook too, you said?
Yeah, well, Holbrook 2 is one that would not be allowed without the amended version from what we talked about earlier with the flexibility. But with the flexibility, we found that, with an arborist report, that it could meet the current amendment we're proposing.
Yeah, okay. And the reason I was trying to get in my head what a real-life situation is where the tree mitigation would be the only thing that would make them go conditional.
So if you
You
had,
come up with it on a 2 acre lot, really.
yeah,
There's always-
we haven't had any examples that have come in. This has all come up because we've had a lot of plans that have just gone 100% mitigation, which doesn't, in our opinion, meet the intent of the 2040 plan or the ordinance that was written. I don't think anyone foresaw anyone writing checks for that amount for 100% mitigation. So we just feel like this meets the intent of the 2040 plan and actually protecting canopy that we've lost over the years.
Right, got that. Yeah, I'm just going on to the 5 acre site where it is ripe for clear cutting, right? So this is taking care of that. 100% mitigation where, our little fees, not anything to that margin on that property. So
The easiest cases are downtown, because you've got these lots under 2 acres, and there's a lot of ways and creative ways that arborists can protect a tree and get really close to the building. I've seen it in other cities, and You see it near sidewalks all the time, too. I know that's not a building foundation, but there's ways to do it. So we think that that flexibility effort you guys had spoke about last time is a good way to meet those 2-acre small lot projects.
Yeah, I agree. That makes sense. Okay,
I'm glad that was brought up.
good catch, Jay.
Any other questions? Are you all ready to make a motion? Somebody have a motion prepared?
I'll give it a run. In considering the proposed amendment TA 25-04, the planning board recommends approval based on consistency with policies EOS-3, EOS-3.1, EOS-4, and the Big Idea tree canopy outlined on page 84 of the Huntersville 2040 plan. The amendment is reasonable and in the public interest because it supports the preservation and growth of mature tree canopy, which will provide significant environmental, stormwater management, air quality, economic, and community benefits for the town of Huntersville.
A second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Lee, we can start with you. You want to add?
Yeah, I was supporting it last time and still, and especially with the thought that we can handle a smaller lot and not penalize the developer. So I think this is a great start, and there's plenty of room to do other improvements as they come up. And like I said, a lot of this stuff is going to go conditional, and the Board of Commissioners will have a chance to put their own spin on it as well. So there is some variability in this, so I will support it.
I think we focus a lot on the environmental value and the impact it has within the particular site, but also there's an economic value that we don't really talk about, and that is that properties that have trees as assets are valued much greater than properties that have none. And people know that, yeah, because this is a expensive proposition to try to mature a tree over time. And as a result, I think we're kind of getting a win-win out of this. You get the economic impact as well as the environmental.
Go ahead.
The last time, I kind of like opposed this because we were considering smaller acres, and now that you took that into consideration, I think, I will, support this because considering the 2040 plans and or the mitigation, I think this is the right way to move forward.
Yeah, so I'm really on the fence about this, to be honest. I think for me, my biggest hangup is the 50% cap, the mitigation cap on commercial mitigation. I'm just really interested to see how that plays out, if there's a chilling effect, and then how many conditional rezonings we really do get as a result of this tree matter specifically. So I think I'm probably going to vote in favor, but I'm certainly interested to see how it plays out in terms of conditional rezoning applications that come forward.
Yeah, and I was waiting on discussion and kind of talk to Scott a little bit more. I mean, like, where's your limit? Obviously, you see where the town's coming from, right? You don't want people to just buy their way out of cutting down trees. But, I mean, is it that 5-acre limit or are you just completely opposed to it no matter how big we go?
No, and I'm not, again, it's not a hill I want to die on. It's just, I do just worry that there are some sites out there, many sites out there that, again, this goes back to me as a personal property rights. I think I've said this 100 times, we've got a zoning ordinance that already has restrictions on what somebody can and cannot do with the property. And then this is just another layer that could potentially send them down the path of a conditional zoning. And hey, from a town perspective, sometimes that's the best outcome because, as we know, there's negotiation that is done, and oftentimes we get a better product. So I can definitely see both sides of it. But yeah, and I do think the 5 acres helps. So again, I just wanted to express my thoughts more than anything, and I don't, I'm one of these people. I don't anybody want don't come with a problem without a solution. I don't have a solution, unfortunately. I just have concerns.
Jay, you've seen probably more development than
I mean,
anybody
I-
up here. Do you have a different limit than the
I
two?
mean, I do think the 5 acres is a good, and I'm gonna just say it. I mean, this, like Scott said, this is not a hill I wanna die on. It's just it's something we deal with every day. And I know it's gonna come up and somebody's gonna, you know, to rezone. And it's not about how many trees, it's where that tree is located. You know, that's what will cause the rezoning, you know. That same tree in the back of the lot wouldn't require anything. And it just, I like that. I like the additional, space. I also like some of the other mitigation options. I don't want to see somebody have to go and just write a check for 100%. I don't want to see that. And I'd like to see us have teeth in there that could help that. You know, maybe the mitigation fees are increased, if that's the case, on some of the larger sites. So I'd really struggle with, there's a lot of little things that I think would make sense if we could, like counting those additional trees that are on the site to go with the mitigation, because it achieves the same goal. And then we've studied the canopy in the town, and you know, I think somebody asked last meeting, you know, the canopy hasn't really changed a lot with all the development we've had, because we've got a great tree ordinance. I mean, we have trees along the frontage of a site, we have them along the perimeter of a parking lot, we have them internal to the parking lot, and we really do a great job of planning for that. And I'm just more cautious. And to be totally honest and transparent, we do rezoning plans, and I would rather not see rezoning plans for this. The trees, I want to make sure we do something that has options so we can save trees. And that's where I'm struggling, and I hate to, you know, go through and add a bunch of little things now. You know, maybe it's something we can work out with the town board between now and then, or maybe it's something that gets changed later, but right now, I just think there's too many things that we could consider. That's just my opinion.
So you think increasing the 5 acre as a recommendation will work?
I think so. I think on some commercial sites, and I know, like, our office is one, I mean, we used a particular type of concrete on our parking lot so that we wouldn't have to excavate for the roots. And we were able to save trees, you know, 3 feet from the parking lot, because we tried. We wanted to make it an effort. So I support that, you know, having an arborist look at it. I mean, that's a great, great ad. Yeah, I don't know if I would support it if it was 5 acres, but I think it's a great ad. I think there's some other things in here too that would be of good benefit. But I just hate to see somebody have to rezone a piece of property because of a minor, and I wish Brian, as the planning director, had the authority to say, you know, it's gonna be useless if you don't, but you can't do that, I know. Just, I wish you had authority to screen some of that.
And then again, just to let everybody know, we are intending to hire an arborist on staff, so we're gonna have more tree ordinances
Sure.
coming up in the future, and we can, you know, use their professional knowledge to gain some more flexibility, you know, to gain, again, save, everybody's goal, save a lot of trees. We can do that. If we have that on-staff knowledge, that'll give us more tools in the toolbox. We'll write some more text amendments. We'll get there. This is just what we know we can do right now.
Right, and there's no amendment that's perfect, but we feel like this is the best way to meet the intent of the ordinance in the 2040 plan now. And just like any other ordinance or text amendment we've done, we've had some tweaks here and there. That's something that could be possible down the road with more professional help.
And one more thing, I mean, again, I do find some comfort, let's assume that, you know, all we're doing is an advisory board, but if it passes, that I do have confidence in our staff, that I think they look at things, and when they see an unintended consequence, that they do come back and bring it up and say, hey, you know, we did miss this, or whatever, let's go back and retweak this. Now, unfortunately, that may catch a couple of good projects in the meantime that end up going through a conditional rezoning, otherwise would not, so that's an unintended consequence. But again, I don't think we have a staff to just hard and say, this is what we want. We're never going to come back and revisit this. I think they'll bring it to us. So again, there is a level of comfort.
So another thing, how flexible are the flexibility you have in for smaller lots that will prevent stuff like rezone and frequency and stuff like that? So can you explain that a little bit?
Well, I think given the new addition to this that was put in since the last meeting, getting a professional that knows trees on board with the private side and attesting and signing to that they can save a tree that would otherwise not be able to be saved per our ordinance, that's about as much flexibility as you could possibly even get. And it takes, a lot of times it puts a lot of pressure on staff to make these decisions. And when you can push it over to an arborist who's actually a certified person in tree knowledge, that's about as much flexibility as you could ever possibly get for that, other than changing the numbers, which we wouldn't want to do.
Just one last comment, I guess, and you guys realize this, we're trying to make a general rule for something that's varies from site to site, so, you know, what's good for everybody is specific to none here, and it's tough to do so, and if you look at our entire tree ordinance, you can see where we've tried to address every possible situation, and this is just another tweak, until we can, you know, maybe we get an arborist that just waves his hand over a project and says it looks good from here and it achieves our goals, but we're not going to get there, I guess, so we're just going to have to keep tweaking. So that's the bright side.
Yeah, this isn't the end.
Okay. Any other thoughts, questions, discussion? Okay, so we have a motion.
Yep, motion and a
And a
second.
Second, Lee and Michael. Go ahead and vote. All those in favor? Those opposed? Okay. Great. Thank you, Jesse.
Thank you.
And thank you all for your time you put into this. Honestly, and for Jesse stepping in to fill in the void. Okay, seeing how there's no other business,
How about a question?
go ahead.
What's going on next door? What's the timetable next door? I usually ask this every couple of meetings. No, I like that too. No, yeah, no, just a timetable for that to be completed. Yeah. Thanksgiving, okay. I'll forget that and ask you again.
I've got a question. Variances, I guess we're going to start hearing variances soon,
Yes,
right? Anything on the, coming up?
Potentially, we're meeting with a
Okay.
couple tomorrow, and we've got another couple who graciously decided to travel for a couple months, which will give you guys time for training.
So that's what I was going to say, because, you know, it's a different process.
It is, it's quasi judicial.
Are we going to have training?
Yes, we will schedule
Quasi-judicial.
quasi training for everybody.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Correct. That's right, we have to get two helpers for you guys.
That's right.
Yeah. So. Correct.
Applications are open if you know anybody who you want to encourage to apply. That's been published. And they're accepting applications until September 5th. At the September 19th meeting is when town board plans to vote on the 2 alternates that will get added. So in the event of anyone's acknowledged absence, an alternate will be asked to sit. Emergency absences, we don't yet have a plan for them to sit for that unless they're here. And recusals, they won't sit for.
Okay,
And they will sit, they will be full members, sit for everything for the planning board.
okay, thank you.
No,
It's a,
majority, yeah, correct, correct. Correct. 11.
So we'll schedule the training after the September 19th appointments.
perfect.
And at this point, likelihood is we may have a first hearing in October.
Okay.
I swear we didn't plan it that way.
If not, we have a motion to adjourn.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
All those in favor? It's unanimous, none opposed. Thank you all.
Thank you. What's that?